need to keep you damn cats out of my cab. Over here is the cab. It's getting ready to be blasted. Been sitting out here for a day or so. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Get that board run across. Forward, forward, side to side, and chain lifts her up. Didn't really do any damage or nothing, but I don't really care. The plan is to flip this back, blast underneath. Everything underneath the floor. And we'll set her back down flat, do the firewall. If I go around the windshield, because there's a little bit of rust there, I could blast that out of there, just do the pinch weld here, do the floor. And we'll paint that black. Once that's all black and painted, probably seam sealed too, if I stick some seam sealer on it. Right around the firewall and stuff, the blaster probably blasted off. There's also a spot down in there. Seam sealer, because that's where it rotted out behind the heater box. Other than that, probably start blasting it tomorrow. I don't know if I'll show that or not. Probably should have showed some of the frame. Oh well. You're busy doing stuff, you ain't got time to film. Frame sandblasted for the S-10. Did that yesterday. Didn't really want to show that too much. I didn't want to get sand all over everything, at least my camera. Anyways, it's clean now. Ready to paint. Need to back it outside here. Lift it up with the tractor and start spraying underneath it. When I sandblasted, I just flipped it upside down and blasted the underside, and then done with that, I flipped it back over. You can see that nice little end there. That part is that's starting to rust back again, like it's cast. Anyways, I just drug out here in a little bit. I hook the chain on the back, lift it up, and spray underneath. And I need to do the cab, which I might show that because it's a lot easier to blast than this thing. The frame's got too many angles. Makes it a pain in the butt to blast. Alright, got the frame rolled outside, and as you can see, it's black. It's been painted. Front to back, top to bottom, in and out. That's how I painted under the front. Just up underneath here. It's tough to get all those angles when you're painting just like blasting, but the rear, I should have took a picture of it, but took the chain in that hole there, hooked it onto the massey and lifted her way up in the air so I could paint it underneath it. So that part's done. Looks good. Hasn't been painted too long, but it's dry enough to touch back here. Still a little tacky up there. Got the cab blasted. Right up here. Painted it underneath last night. Actually yesterday. See, it's black underneath the cab. So I'm going around and I'm seam sealing areas where I put some more paint on the cab. See along the doors, I still need to go along that rocker there where I welded it, but around seam sealed all the weird areas in the floor. Out here, any area that looked weird, or I blasted off the factory seam sealer. Did that spot down in there where it rotted. In any place I welded a plug, there was a hole. Around this side too. All around the hinges like the factory did, anywhere the factory seam sealed it. And I was putting some Pour 15 on the floor. That's the only area I'm going to do this about where your feet go, because this is going to all get painted black. Here's my little can of 415. I need to go around that side. What else? I also blasted clear up in here. I didn't really want to blast all that, but after I did the floor, all the sand bouncing around pretty much screwed up the paint up there, so just blasted it all off in there too. The only thing I didn't blast was the roof, because if I did that it would be a screwed up warped mess. Did the cross member, need to paint that too. Other than that, cab's getting about done. I'm gonna go back, smear some more 415, and if I mix up some paint, start painting her black, because it's blackie, nothing else. The driver's side first coat on the 415. Kind of went up in there a little bit because the stupid cat peed on my floor. Sprayed a tomcat. I don't know which one it was, but he's glad that he best be glad that he didn't see me do that, or see him do that. 'Cause I sure as heck ain't gonna pee on it. Anyways, let that dry. Need to hang this. Probably hang it from the Massey up there. Give it a painting. Good enough to paint, I guess. This isn't restoration mode, but maybe it is restoration mode, all the work I'm doing. Some of you probably think I'm nuts for doing all this work. I think it might be crazy too. Wasn't planning on restoring the pickup, I just wanted to go racing. Wasn't up to my standards, I guess. Got a second coat of 415 on the floor on this side. That's all I'm going to do is just put 2 coats on it and then let that dry enough to paint over the top of it. On this stuff, you just put 1 coat on, and you're supposed to wait till it's like what they call hand slick or finger slick or whatever it is. But basically what it is, if you got a spot like that, take your finger and you rub across it. You get just a little bit on your finger. It's not like super wet, but I usually put a second coat on it, and that stuff's weird because it's like real thin the first coat, which you can see right there, and then the second coat it just gets like thick. I don't know what it does, but it seems like it just thickens way up. Anyways, still waiting for this side to dry a little bit. Still a little too wet. I can really get too much on my finger. So you don't really want to get that stuff on your fingers, but it is tough to get off. But if you get it on your fingers, get it off right away while it's still wet. Usually you can take some gasoline or some lacquer thin or something, it'll take it off. But don't let it sit on there because it'll stick to your hands for about a week. And you let that dry some more. And now I got a second coat of 415 on this side. That side, I think I showed you earlier, was done, but it had a little bit left over and I just kind of smeared a little bit on the floor. You don't recommend dumping that stuff back in the can once it's been out sitting for a while. It must start to activate or do something weird. Anyways, painted the firewall. It's black. 2 coats on there, it's good. And around the windshield. Now I need to do either up in there or go around the cab back here. I haven't decided yet, but we still need to do all that, but that needs to dry a little bit more before we put some paint on it. And it will be true to its name. It will be blackie. If it was orange, it'd be orangey, I guess. If it was white, it'd be whitey. It sure as hell ain't gonna be purple, because that's a nasty color. Or pink. Okay, did my final seam sealing across here too. I welded that rocker panel on. First I went up all around where all the seams were. I just need to kind of let that dry and get this all finished painted before it gets dark. I'll think I'm crazy for painting outside, but it's good enough for this kind of stuff. He's actually painting the truck. You want to be inside in the paint booth. You need to keep your damn cats out of my cab. Your ass is grass. I think it's got a mess of parts all over the place. It needs to go back together. Once the cab's on the frame, I'll be a lot happier. We'll be getting closer to going racing.